Folks, welcome back. I know this is such a broken record video. I don't even know if I should keep covering these type of things. I mean, today we're going back to like video number 5 on the infamous Rudy Bazaar of Baghdad thing that infamously became famous for on YouTube for 2017. When I said Bazaar of Baghdad was so stupidly underpriced when it was $600 a card that it should be a $2,000 card, and it was a big meme and joke and everybody made all kinds of stuff and everything. Well, here we are. In 2021, where the flavor of the year is inflation, we're going to have to make a new batch of shirts. It's something to do with like inflation. Like I can inflate you or inflate your face or something. I don't know. I got to come up with something. But anyways, that's stupid. I'm not sure how to discuss this video, but I just want to give everybody a couple little rundown thoughts, a couple reminders, and a couple of what I see happening here. So let's start with this. As of the filming of this video, there are 4 Bazaar of Baghdad for sale on eBay. The cheapest one is like $7,000. Somebody clearly bought out all the Bazaar of Bagdads that were $2,000 to $3,000 a card. $2,000 to $3,000. You heard me, folks. Somebody bought them all out. This time it wasn't me, because I already built my position. You guys know that 4 years ago. And I'm very, very surprised that all the $2,000 to $3,000 copies were actually purchased at almost, like even some of the mint raw ones were almost $3,000 sold listings. Whoa, 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 okay. And now I'm looking at like TCG Player and eBay, and I'm going, holy smokes. There's the only thing left on eBay is 4 copies between like $7,000 and $15,000 for graded like 8s, 9s, and 9.5s, and it's ridiculous. And then TCG Player, I'm trying to keep my composure here. TCG Player has like, I think 5 copies for sale between like 2,500 and like 10,000. So you have a situation where the supply was nuked, and whether that it's people pulling them down, keeping the card, or again, somebody came through and wiped out the marketplace, or, well, I mean, there's just not a lot floating around left on the market. Something that is a whole nother conversation that we've all talked about for the last 5 years on this YouTube channel. I remember making many conversations on my longer form videos where we talked about, what's going to happen when the day comes when the amount that's left floating on the market. There's actually an old video on my channel. If you actually hit YouTube Alpha Investments and use the keyword float on my channel, I made a video talking about market float. And that the float term is kind of an equity term on Wall Street, where the amount of free shares that are left to change hands on the exchange before they have to kind of, anyway, I won't get into that. And I feel that the float of certain cards, like Bazaar Baghdad, Workshop, that's another card, and a lot of these older cards are getting so low, it's just becoming a pain to even find the card. And I remember talking 3-4 years ago that eventually it's going to be a point where there's just not going to be enough on the market of people wanting to sell the card in general. And I thought for sure, actually, this video was going to be a little bit different. I thought as Bazaar Baghdad approached 2,000-3,000 now, or actually 3,000, I actually thought a lot of people were going to say, okay, time to lock in profits. I paid $600 to $800. It's time to put it on the market. And anytime you can do a double or triple up on your money, I thought a lot more supply was going to jump out to lock in the profit, which is very interesting, because usually if a home lands, didgeridoo, too soon, didgeridoo. All right, I feel like that's going to be a meme. I feel like when a home lands or an Ice Age or a Fallen Empire card pops from like 50 cents to $3 to $10, $20, all of a sudden you see eBay a week later, there's like 100 copies of people trying to lock in profit on those type of products. Now, it's very fascinating in this situation. You have a card going to 3,000 and there's no one locking in profits. You don't see everybody saying, all right, time to lock in the bazaars. You can see the difference in supply in the diamond hand investors, in the diamond hand collectors, and the players who just love the card. You can feel the difference. You can see the supply difference. You can feel the print run difference. And it really rears its head and really teaches all of us a lesson on the difference between a card skyrocketing to $3,000 and people not dumping their card to lock in profit versus a Fallen Empires card or an Ice Age card that goes from $2 to $20, $30, and all of a sudden everybody's like, hey, I got copies of those in the bulk bin. Let me get some free tendies. You see my point? That's the difference here, folks. You're seeing a real world case study of the true kind of blue chip class of really high-end collectibles versus the ones that spike that everyone just says, screw it, I'm going to lock in money and walk away. Good luck, you guys. See you on the other side. You know, that kind of concept here. So, friendly reminder again on a couple things of history. You know, Bazaar Baghdad was a card that was very, very cheap for 20 years because it was not deemed the hot card in the set. It was deemed not very good for the longest time. So this was a card at the very beginning days of the 90s that was not sought after. So this was like a sleeper hit. Excuse me, just like the Lion's Eye Diamond video the other day. So when you have cards like Lion's Eye Diamond or Bazaar that were cheap for the longest time, and then all of a sudden they had that surprise, people weren't hoarding a bunch of mint condition copies. So you had that kind of inverse surprise market reaction. Again, you compile that with the lowest print run, you know, Arabian Nights. I'm not even going to get into the print run. You guys already know that. You've been watching my channel, right? So, you know, that's where we're at. And obviously the questions that if I don't address it, people are always going to ask in comments or email or Patron message. They're going to say, well, Rudy, okay, if sold copies are all over 3,000 for raw cards and graded copies are 5,000 to 10,000, is it going to hold? Where do we go from here? Should we walk away? Should we wait for a pullback? Does it keep going higher? You know, I don't have an answer this time because I didn't think the card was going to get this crazy. My prediction and my analysis on many of these collectibles in the sealed Magic world and in the single card reserve list, Rudy's Arabian Night, the little playground, all of my predictions were past all of that. You know, my prediction was a Bazaar Baghdad should have been a $2,000 card 5 years ago. And, you know, so that was my whole mindset was, okay, why is this $600 card not worth so much more? It's incredibly rare. It's incredibly powerful. It checks every box in the Giggity checklist. And now that it's past that, I didn't really plan past that. I never really said, okay, well, it's at 3,000. And now people want 5,000 to 10,000 for high-end copies. Is this legitimate? I actually do think the price is legitimate. I just don't know if it's going to hold there, if it's going to drift higher, if we're going to see a 10-20% retracement. I don't know how the market's going to be able to handle a card like Bazaar when raw copies that are clean, you know, are around 3,000 and graded copies are, you know, geez, ridiculous. You know, I don't know how it's going to absorb that. I don't know if we're going to see a lot of sold listings at all for, you know, $5,000, $10,000 graded copies of Bazaar. I just don't know if the market can sustain that. I have seen the buy list prices for a lot of the stores around the country have been rising pretty substantially across the board. But that's another video to get into regarding just their overall oops of, you know, missing out and really screwing up with what they did in 2020. And that really wrecked and caused substantial long-term damage to the reserve list and the high-end Magic world of old cards. And I told you all, in my opinion, the number one biggest thing, and I have another video coming on this, the number one biggest game-changing mistake in the world of Magic in 2020 was by far how all the big stores and the big companies in the United States walked away and unloaded all the old Magic cards for fear of a collapse. That was the ultimate, that was the tipping point, in my opinion, in this new modern Magic the Gathering era. I genuinely believe that was the ultimate game changer and the biggest mistake ever made in modern times in Magic the Gathering. I stand by that, and I think as time goes on, we'll continue to see side effects of that. And I do believe Bazaar Baghdad is a textbook side effect of this situation. Because think about this, folks. If all these stores didn't unload their 2, 4, 6, 8 copies of Bazaar Baghdad, you know, there would be a lot more supply in the open market, but everything was dumped. And the people who scooped in were people like me, and a lot of collectors around the world who were just absorbing collections because everything else went offline. Everything else just said, we're going to wait. And when you have that much supply change hands in a market dynamic, that kind of, I don't even know how to explain it to you all to really emphasize the importance and the danger of what has happened with that. It will never recover. It will never go back to the way it was. The prices will never drop to the way they were because the people and the positions of those cards have been permanently altered, and it's never going to go back to that. You know, and I can't emphasize the importance of that. So, again, another video on Bazaar Baghdad. Yeah, I think the ridiculous $3,000 to $10,000 price on the card is legitimate. And I actually, my instinct, it may have some short-term market noise, but I do think it's going to hold long-term. It's going to continue. it just is what it is, folks. I know it's a scary big number, but, you know, welcome to the future. Am I right?